Alright, greetings everyone after so fucking long. Welcome to this PCR special for Marvel Spider-Man, and without further ado, let's get on into it. So, okay, it's been a while. First and foremost, I have to say that PCR is still alive, okay? Even though it's been about 2 months, it's still on. I've been having to postpone recording the videos and all that because, as you may or may not know, I live with my grandparents, and so I require that, not so much physical space because I got my room and all, but I require more mental space. They're always here most of the time, and they're, doing stuff around me and such, and I can't really focus, let alone hear myself speak. And not only that, I'm pretty sure they're gonna get weirded out by everything I say. They don't speak much English, so then it's just, I don't know, it's a little weird. But when I do find the time and space, that's when it's best to do PCR, and unfortunately I haven't had that time and space up till now. But now that I do, let's get on to it. So let's see. Another note. PCR is still going to continue with Red Dead Redemption, although it may take a while because we still have a lot of material to cover here with Spider-Man. We're not only going to be talking about Spider-Man himself, but also the other heroes, some of the villains, the anti-heroes like Venom, Deadpool, maybe. Shit, shooting at me this early, yo. And also keep in mind that we barely started. This whole project really is still kind of a baby. Not to mention the Spider-Man special. But okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's okay, why don't we warm up first with a little bit of combat, and then we'll continue with our main discussion for the day. So let's see, where are some criminals we can fuck up real quick? Let's see. Come on, need some action. Spider-Man's here to save the day. Is there anyone that needs saving? No? Do it for free. I really don't charge, honestly. It's kind of fucked up to charge. Oh, there you are. Boom. I'll fuck up some gangsters today. Okay, motorcycle for you. Motorcycle for you too. Oh, sorry, buddy. There's none left. You should have come back. You should have came earlier. Oh, fuck. What's... Okay. It's time to fight now, for real. Too much talking shit. Boom. Boom. There you go. Your stick ain't shit, homie. What's up? Look at that. Takedown. Takedown number 2. I used to be a bad motherfucker my bad. I used to be a bad motherfucker until I took a knee to the face. There you go. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, he almost got me, but not quite. None of these niggas know how to fight, really. Hence why they have to use fucking glowing magical sticks and guns and pussy shit. Bros, you call yourselves gangsters, you can't even fight. That's... What do you think gangbanging means, bro? Like, that's... Okay. Cool. So we got one guy left. It's not his fault. Maybe he grew up in a really bad household and didn't have much other choice to cope with it. So now that we're good, these people are safe, we can get to our business. Cool. Let's change the suit first real quick. Let's try on something a little more modern, a little bit more relatable to our times. Let's see, we got the Raimi suits. Mm, or we have the Stark suit. Let's go with the latest one, the upgraded suit, the one that Spider-Man builds by himself. Cool, cool, cool. So, here we are, and let's take a little review from last time, I guess. Let's see, let's stand somewhere nice. Oh, come on, there you go. Okay, give me a second. I guess this is kind of nice enough. Let's see. So in the first episode, we introduced what this PCR special is going to be about. And we talked about the rise of culture and entertainment, right? And then on the second episode, we talked about, or we expanded on the cultural process. Cultural process meaning, you know, just representation of one's experience or the collective experience of everyone, and then how those experiences or grand collective experience gets represented in a popular setting, right? And because everyone's experience is different, that creates a big old drama. And the drama is about each one's experience, and each one's experience comes from our own nature, you could say, for lack of a better summary. And so that creates drama and human nature, or the drama of human nature. For what? For the survival and continuity of the species, or whatever it is that's alive or trying to represent itself. Whatever is culturally alive, basically. And so for the third episode, we continued on with how all of this is constructed from, I guess, what you would call the human imagination, really, because it's all of big mode of perception and experience, like we said. And so, since we are limited in perception, mind, and our biology is basically limited, we're not God per se, we don't know everything. So we have to fill the spaces, right? Our vulnerabilities and whatnot, our limitations. We have to get past those if we are to evolve and whatnot. And we use our imagination for that. It just happens to be visual because we are visually dominant as a species. And those usually take forms of symbols, metaphors, whether represented linguistically, visually, or behaviorally. They get represented in symbols, archetypes, maybe, although archetype is a little, the concept of the archetype is a little more, it's a little more complicated, but it's more or less the same thing. And so once we have like a narrative or a story, basically, we started to represent those and tell people stories and whatnot. And this has been happening since the dawn of humanity, really. You can see it in cave drawings, or even just the making of a habitat itself speaks home to a living creature, right? And that's kind of culture already, you know. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that, we're back. So, oh shit, what the fuck is going on? I just dropped all these fucking people. Damn. Cool. So So we basically start, let's see, telling stories and whatnot, and you know, collectively as people since the beginning of time. See, some of these stories are not exactly stories. Let's say some primitive humans have a couple of children, and let's just say these humans specialize not so much on hunting, but on, you know, agriculture and making a habitat. Even though they do eat, I mean, they have to hunt somehow. But they're mostly, or let's just say these particular humans adapted better at creating habitats and, you know, planting food, I guess. So part of this family's culture is going to be food and agriculture, not so much hunting. Although there may be another group of humans who, you know, okay, wait, going back to the same family, obviously that family is going to teach their children to plant and make a habitat and whatnot, and that's, give me a second, I'm having a little trouble here. Okay, there we go. So in the teaching of making it to habitat and all that, that's already what would you say, what would you call it? I'm at a loss of words right now. Come on. Okay, let's land in the street. Maybe get grounded a bit. So that's already a passing on of experience, you know, collectively to the child, how to, you know, create, build a home and whatnot. And there could be just, there could be another family who's more adapted to hunting, not so much creating homes and whatnot for themselves, but they, let's just say they travel a lot more, they don't stay in one place, but they're really good hunters, so they really don't starve, but they do have a hard time finding a home, and that's going to be taught to their child whenever they have children. And give me a second. That's basically going to be their reality for the most part until they come together and they start, you know, through behaviors and, you know, maybe they don't speak yet, but through behaviors, that's a representation of their experience, and when they come together, they'll share those experiences and they might learn. And that's how, you know, that's how we use all these myths and dramas and all to help each other out, progress, evolve, you name it. And so these I guess teachings have elaborated themselves into stories, dramas, music, plays, movements, all kinds of stuff, really. Clothes, maybe, religions, shit, like, you name it. It could be a reason why a group of humans might dress the same or might look alike again, but, you know, it's just so many things branch out of this whole understanding now. And so throughout time, really, these tend to change. People's perceptions tend to change as we evolve and whatnot. So some things get left out, other things get added, some things get reinforced. And so we get myths and whatnot, and we have to discern which ones are real or which ones are relevant or which ones coincide with our experience, really, of reality. So that's myth and reality, or myth versus reality. And in some discrete instances, or some myths seem to hold a lot of power and a lot of, we'll call it, I don't want to say occult, we'll call it hidden or buried messages and themes that tap into a far deeper nature of humanity, really. And that's what we called in the last episode the supernatural. Really, just nature rising to change itself. That's what we said last time. Okay, so that's what we have so far. Give me a second, let's see. Oh, what's this? Nice. What is this? I never...
This piece of the Shocker's original uniform showed me how to protect myself from his blasts.
That is what's
Of course,
up.
they always upgrade, don't they?
Nice. Cool. So, and now we continue to our current discussion. Okay, so
Officers be advised, a mugging was just reported.
how does...
Available officers report to the theater district.
Give me a second. So how does nature come to know itself, really? How does it come to change itself? Well, we'd have to go back to all the abstraction and all. To the really extractive thinking and maybe philosophical thinking where, you know, think of the word nature itself. What is it? Nature. So, obviously we can say it's something beyond man. So it was here before man. Let's just say, so whatever is not natural, I mean, what can you say is not natural? Let's just say we weren't here. Or let's just say there was no one ever alive or conscious to say what is natural. Could it be that the concept of nature itself is man-made? Is it a name that we ourselves put to what is really out there? Because again, I mean, we did give names to things, and whatever it is that I guess we cannot appropriate ourselves with, or not, no, whatever it is that we cannot conceive must be natural. Supernatural, maybe, not sure, but of course natural, maybe something that happens on its own is a better definition of natural, because there had to be something before us. I mean, and if there ever was something before the first humans started to perceive or became conscious, it all had to happen on its own. You see, even after the process of the human realizing itself, that whole process has happened on its own, so that in itself is natural too. So we can say that nature is all there is, really. And so it is the all. And so if there's nothing else, what is there? Well, obviously, again, it just is. And so how does it grow? How does nature evolve, or how does it realize itself, really? Well, it realizes itself from itself, if you know what I mean. If one is all there is, let's just say one is a point or a singularity, no matter the size, really, because no matter how you think of it, you're in the point. The point is all there is, and it could be 1 trillion square miles wide, whatever, or it could be 72 million nanometers small, or millionth of nanometer small. But it's still the point. It's all there is. Once you
Officers respond.
start to measure what's what,
Available officers report to the
then you
theater district.
get like you start giving direction, or yeah, basically, because let's just say all is contained within the point, and once you start to zoom into the point, let's just say the point grows. How does it grow? I mean, well, it must grow from itself, like we said, and if anything happens, it must happen within itself. And if it does, that means there's some form of direction, maybe time, because let's just say nothing happens, literally nothing happens for an infinity of time, and then something happens. First of all, there's, you know, as soon as something happens, there's something, and that already is some form of motion in a direction, like we said, and it took time, at least perceivably. See, for all we know, everything could have already just fucking happened, and this is just a whole replay on a replay on a replay. You know what I mean? And that's really, if you can picture that, then you can kind of start to picture what I mean by the point is everything and all. But in order to do so, once something happens, there's already a differentiation, right? A direction, like we said, and that direction implies that there is something out of nothing, and now there's two things. Because if all was all, that's one, and now there's two things, really. Something out of nothing, and those two things, that's where it all starts, really. That's where you begin, like I said, measurements.
Attention local units. A break-in is reportedly in progress.
Give me a second.
Location is Cathedral.
Measurement and limit. Parameters. You start a parameter, you get a beginning and an end, literally. You know? And once we're at that point, there exists something called duality, right? And that is the very nature of everything. You know, just everything comes in opposites, really, like we said right now. Beginning and end is the very first opposite to ever exist, based on this discussion. And so everything must spring from there. Everything must have a beginning and an end. And like we said, the beginning and the end are both the same, so that's how the cycle works itself, effectively. So now that we only have two things where infinity springs from, it's a matter of differentiation, right? Or intensity, maybe. Give me a second. So let's land on the roof here.
Agents, this is Control. What's the situation near Carnegie Hall?
Give me a second.
5-5. Containing all
Cool. We're back. Apologize one more time. We were talking about duality and how everything comes in opposites, beginning and end being the first ever, and from there you can pretty much think of any opposite that you want. Up, down, left, right, hot, cold, black and white, light and dark, happy, sad, whatever. So what you get is a spectrum, right? Let's just say you got the point, and the point grows, and when it starts growing, you get a spectrum, or a bidirectional system, or another dimension, if you would.
needed in Yorkville.
You get two dimensions. Oh shit. What was that? Oh, I thought that was a sniper. What the fuck? I'm like, there's snipers here. Well, they actually are, but I don't think they flash like that. Let's see. Oh, this is the Catwoman challenge. Need to look for a picture.
Felicia's close to her goal. I've got to put an end to this, and fast.
No, wait, what did I do?
This area's full of Wall Street guys. Target-rich environment.
Fuck it. Well, it's right there, at least. Wait, oh no, it's a little kitty that we're looking for.
She's obviously familiar with these places.
There we are.
And that gives me an idea how to catch her.
Cool. Cool. So... Okay. So basically everything starts from that. And now you have a spectrum. Let's just say you have hot and cold. It's just a matter of where you are on the spectrum that determines how hot or how cold you are. And if you're in the middle, it's like you either got both or you got none. You know what I mean? You're in perfect balance. But the thing is, balance requires stability, right? And let's just say you're on a scale where the gravity of being on one side is low enough to where you could get somewhere roughly in the middle and you'd be stable. But let's just say you increase the density, or let's just say you increase the density of the balance or the gravity of the gravitational effect of being in a certain position on the spectrum. So after you increase the density of the spectrum, then you reduce the space in the center of the spectrum in which you need to be stable. So a minor offset will destabilize the spectrum, or destabilize yourself really, and set you off in on one side of the spectrum rather than on the middle. So you'd be polarized into one side of the spectrum, or one side of the pole, and really that's all there is to duality. It's just degrees of extremities really, and the center point is the balance, but that's really arbitrarily defined because we are talking about infinity here, and that center point can be infinitely defined, right? From that spectrum we get our waves of possibilities in the quantum world to form atoms and such, depending on the quantum environment that there is, and and the fluctuations that are going on in that specific moment, whatever. That basically turns into the atom and to reality. And what we're talking here about really is a direction of energy, because like we said before, all the energy that ever was or ever is and ever will be is a point of itself, and as it grows, as it expands or shrinks, it's just a matter of what direction it takes. And we have established that these two processes are taking place at the same time: expansion and shrinking. That's what creates the natural life cycle of everything. Like I said, it's just a matter of where the energy goes, direction of energy, to serve the grand purpose of stability, really, or perfect balance.
Kidnapping was just reported.
Now,
Incident is active near Carnegie Hall.
this is where the perceptual process comes into play, because how do you know what's up if you're looking at it downside? You know what I mean? So we have our standard up and down, but let's just say you put an arrow, two arrows on the wall, one's facing up, one's facing down, and you get on a handstand. The one that's normally pointing down is gonna be pointing up to you. And so when we talk about negative and positive energies, positive energies tend to take the positive direction, which is usually up, right, hot, whatever. More of a forward pushing, it's a forward pushing or an expansive force, right? It's an expansive force. And the negative energies are the extractive or the what's the fucking word, yo? The reducing force, really, the shrinking force, where brings everything back together. And okay, so where were we again? We're swinging in the middle of nowhere here. I hope this doesn't get too fucking boring, yo. Let's try to go to another background here, maybe. So it's just a matter of, you know, utility then, and it's just a matter of direction of energy. Since positive energy is expansive, it tends to grow. It pushes the limits, and like I said, the whole word expansion gives the explanation to the concept. And the negative energy, you know, contracts. That's the word I was looking for mostly. It's about contraction and going backwards. And they both have their uses because, oh shit. Let's just say you're expanding forever, then you lose the beginning or an end, whichever one. Or you lose the end, and if you're ever contracting, again, you lose the beginning or the end. So there's got to be both at the same time. What else? Okay, give me a second here. Let me refresh my mind real quick. Okay, and so the trick starts, or at least for us humans in our representation of experience, the trick starts, or the magic starts, where our perceptual process comes in. We perceive, okay, in general terms, we perceive positive as being good and negative as being bad. But that's a moral issue of itself, really. This is where I think we're gonna have to get a little more complicated and a little more in depth on these things. Okay, where do I start? Let me land here at the park. Get ourselves grounded here. Boom. Drop some people again.
Transport is under armed assault. Location is East Harlem.
Damn, what are you 4 grown-ass niggas doing in a kid's park here, looking all shady as hell? Is this some kind of drug deal? This better not be a drug deal, yo, cause I'm...
That's right.
What the fuck? You niggas are scaring me. I don't get the fuck out of here. You know what? Just get on with your drug deal. I don't give a fuck anymore. So... Okay, where were we? Shit. The thing... Okay. How do we tie all this back to this whole superhero thing?
Calling all units. We have an active robbery attempt on an armored vehicle.
Well...
Available officers move in on Garvey Park.
Okay. Let me find a good starting point. How do we tie all this conceptual stuff and abstractive thinking to these superheroes, really? Well, let's go back to what we said before about polarity, you know, and light and dark. Let's start there. Light and dark, they're obviously a form of polarity, and that itself has its own degree varying degrees of, you know, light and dark, how light, how bright is something, how dark is something.
Scanning for Spider-Man.
And okay, well, let's talk about light and dark itself. When you have light, there's, let's just say, energy is visible or it's present, right? You could say, well, first of all, you can see the light, right? So there's something there, and that's, I guess we'll just call that we'll just call it true. It is true, you know? So the light is true. I keep getting in. Alrighty, so we're back. We were discussing duality. Yes, how we as humans perceive duality. Well, we were saying about light and darkness. Okay, how does all that relate to superheroism and whatnot? Let's see. Cool, so we're up and flying. Give me a second, let me review here, refresh my mind a bit. So, when it comes to the light allows you to see, right? It gives measurements, it gives sights. In practical terms, it means that you can see or you don't.
Stable teams, this is Control. What's the situation in
It's really like seeing what there is, okay? Whereas in the absence of light, there is nothing but wonder. You wonder what there is if you can't see anything. So it's all like really abstractive. Again, it's like almost nothing, basically. It's like nothing, and the light is something. And so, in basically speaking, we tend to attribute the light to good in moral and philosophical terms, because it allows you to see and it's something to go on, whereas in the absence of light you are technically lost, although not really, because if there's nowhere to go, how the fuck are you lost? You know what I'm saying? So from there, that in itself, you know, just that kind of explains how the light came out of darkness, because, you know, after being dark for so long, I guess, really, just darkness in of itself became something, and that becoming of something is the light. I mean, that's a process of itself, and it takes energy, anything, any motion. I mean, just, you know, it's a movement, an animation, really. And the dark itself, is a light. And basically what I'm getting to is that they're, again, both just directions of energy, and they're both the same coin, really. It's just the way you see it that makes the whole difference. And going back to morality and such, the light is really seen as good because it allows you to see, whereas in darkness you can't see anything and you don't know where you are, kinda. I guess, the light really is associated with God, and darkness is associated with the devil or evil. Good and evil, light and dark. But like I said, it really depends on the perceptual system being used, because let's just say for the nature, okay, let's talk about evil real quick. Evil would generally be associated with negative energies. And again, the whole nature of negative energy is to contract, is to bring back, to reduce to nothingness, if you would, really. Again, it's part of that, it's the part of that cycle that brings you back to darkness in the fluctuation of light and dark, or nothing and something. It's what gives the end to something, right? It's what brings everything down forever. I mean, and it's an infinite force. Again, this whole system is infinite, so that force has to be there, you know, for eternity, constantly working downwards. And it's not that it's bad, although much of the things that go down, you know, are not so useful, either not useful or harmful, really. And that's why we attribute them to bad. That's where decay comes from, determination of all things. And you know, we all know, or hopefully we all know, a bit about loss and I guess just loss, being at a loss, or having a loss, taking a loss. And that's really, you know, when things come to an end and there's a bunch of sadness and grief and all that, maybe even some guilt, because we knew it was coming to an end, or because either we knew it was coming to an end, or we didn't know and we should have known. But that's the whole point of, you know, raising your awareness or consciousness in a way, to this relativistic mindset, really. Because like I said, let's just say if you were to, again, going back to the example of the arrows on the wall, if you stand up straight, the upward arrow is going to be facing obviously upward. And if you do a handstand, if you get on a handstand, the downward arrow is going to be pointing up. And let's just say you are negative energy, and to you, reduction is good, decreasing is good, contraction is good. That's your objective, really. And so anything that goes up, by law, has to go down. And that's what the negative energy really is, you know. And so in a way, if you're going down, anything that pulls you up is bad, inversely, right? And so back to our more accustomed way of thinking, you know, anything that goes up is good, really, because progress is perceived as a form of forward direction, or a positive direction, meaning positive giving energy. Oh, okay, that's one good, very good way of thinking about it. The positive energy gives itself, projects itself, gives, really, and the negative energy takes, you know. So, where were we? Give me a sec. It's a little bit of a workout here trying to explain all this. Let me see. Ooh, nice. We're at the Central Park here. Ooh, doesn't that look neat? Man, I wish I was there in real life right now. But, let's see. Back to our discussion. So, that's... Okay, yes. Positive energies tend to project, and we perceive positive as good because it is a symbol of growth, life, light, energy, you know, giving and expanding, first and foremost. And so That's why the light is associated with, I guess, God, because God really gave himself, or gives itself, really. Okay, let's talk. Let's take a sidestep for a bit and talk about God himself and the devil and all that stuff, because that's really what's gonna tie all this superhero stuff with the abstractive thinking that we've been doing so far. And once we're able to integrate those two things, then we can see where these, more or less, how these superheroes are born. So when it comes to God,
Incident is active near Times Square. Proceed with
well, the word itself just brings so much to mind. It's got historical, philosophical weight on it, as well as scientific, and just, it's got the